Welcome to Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. On this podcast, we journey through the devastating experience of the death of a child. Grief is seldom discussed openly in our culture, and the death of a child makes people feel even more uncomfortable. We approach the topic openly and honestly, speaking to people who have lost loved ones and experts who help care for them. Whether you are a parent experiencing loss or someone who wants to support another going through this tragedy, this podcast strives to offer hope and help.
Welcome to episode number 358 of Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. I'm Marcy Larson, Andy's mom. Today, I have the absolute pleasure to introduce you to Holly. Holly is Payton's mom. Holly started out as a listener, but now I would truly call her a friend. At the time of this recording, Holly was only 6 months into her grief journey. And in that 6 months, she'd really packed in a lot. She has started a foundation with her husband. They call that foundation Payton's Pink Rainbow Project because Payton loved the color pink and she loved rainbows. And if you go to their website, you'll see a rainbow that Payton painted, and the rainbow goes through the normal colors of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. But at the very end, it adds pink because Payton certainly thought there should be pink in every rainbow. So go to paytonspinkrainbow.org if you want to find out more information on that. We'll talk about that quite a bit in the episode as well. But I just wanted to give you a little preview of that. I don't have a sponsor for this week's episode, but if you would like to sponsor an episode of the Always Andy's Mom podcast, you can go to the website, andysmom.com, and go to the donate page. You can also donate through givebutter.com. A donation of $125 dedicates one episode of the Always Andy's Mom podcast to the person of your choice. If you would like to share a story on the podcast, please feel free to email me. So you can email me at Marcy, M-A-R-C-Y, at andysmom.com. And you can do that if you just want to share your story personally with me, or if you want to come on the podcast. It doesn't really matter. I love hearing from listeners and hearing different stories. Right now, though, I just want you to sit back and enjoy listening to Holly, Payton's mom. Thank you so much, Holly, for coming on the Always Andy's Mom podcast today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's always fun for me when I have someone that I know a little bit on the outside.
Yes.
Not just through email, but although I guess I haven't met you in person. I feel like I've met you in person many times, but not really. But you are a fellow Michigander, and I've known you for a few weeks now. And yeah, and I'm really excited that you wanted to come on and tell Payton's story.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So why don't you start out by just telling us all about your daughter, Payton?
Yeah, Payton was 5. She passed away 6 months ago, and she was just a ray of sunshine. Oh man, she was like a spitfire. She was that, the commercials where it's the candy, like sweet and sour. That was kind of her. She could be this like sweet, cuddly little thing and come, say something adorable. And then the next second she'd be like, wait a second, and kind of like go off. And you're like, all right, see you later. Guess you're done with me now. You didn't need a hug anymore. And she was very strong-willed. She just loved the world. She loved everyone. It was going to be her way or the highway. It's hard, right? Because everyone thinks that their child is special. And right? Everyone's kids are special. But man, people just having an interaction with her in line, like waiting for bagels down at the bagel shop, they would just be like, oh, like your daughter's really special. Like there's just something about her.
I love that. I love that.
She just knew how to like make everyone be seen. Everyone was loved by her. We started T-ball a few seasons ago now. And I was telling her, okay, like mommy is going to be your coach. And I have one of my coworkers, her and her husband are going to be a coach. Her daughter's on the team. Like you're going to love her. And I remember their first interaction, Payton runs up, says hi, my name's Payton, gives her a big hug, and they like run off playing. Like, that's just how Peyton was. Anyone that she met, she was like, "Hi, my name's Peyton." Gives a big hug and like, ready to go be best friends. Let's go play. So she was just that special little girl, and she was a great big sister. Our son Blake struggled a little bit in his first year of life. He pretty much had diagnosis of like failure to thrive. We had a lot of appointments and he wasn't talking and wasn't crawling and all these things. And Peyton would just sit next to him and be like, "Blake, what's this? Blake, what's this?" Or like if he would start crawling or whatever, she'd just be like, "Yay, Blake, good job, buddy."
Oh.
Just a very, bright and excited little girl about everything. Everything excited her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bright blue eyes, blonde hair, just running around.
Your ray of sunshine.
Yes. Yes.
Your ray of sunshine. Oh.
Yep.
And I love that little personality too.
Oh, yeah. You never knew what was coming when you talked to her. But you knew anytime we were out and about or anytime she met someone new or, friends at school, she was just so caring and inclusive. Like, "Hey, come play with me." Or she just like, I don't know, could connect to someone's heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, do you want to talk now about what happened to Peyton? I know it's a hard thing.
Yeah. So we stayed home from church. It was the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We had Friendsgiving, and so I was the one deemed to cook the turkey. And so we had to stay home because you have to put the turkey in so early. And Peyton and Blake and my husband went outside. They were going to get down Christmas tree lights because Peyton finally got him talked into putting up Christmas tree lights outside because she loved Christmas tree lights. And I asked, like, "Hey, can I just jump in the shower?" I just, needed a break. I was also 20 weeks pregnant, and so it's like, I just need a little break for a minute.
Yeah.
And outside and played, and Peyton, being the best big sister, asked my husband, Brandon, "Hey, can I take Blake and push him around in his truck?" He's kind of getting anxious and stuff, so she just was like, "Hey, I'll go take him around."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll entertain him. We live in HOA. It's kind of smaller. We live on a dead end, and so it's nothing for the kids to go out walking around. We have like a little U circle. It's nothing for them to go out walking and playing, riding scooters, bikes. Like, that was Peyton's favorite thing. So they went out. They went around the corner. Our one neighbors came home from church and stopped and waved and said hi. And before they could back into their drive, our next neighbors came up the little hill and around the circle. He stopped and kind of waved and didn't put his eyes back on the road and hit Peyton. Blake was in his car, thankfully. The back end was kind of smashed up. We were told that he kind of got pushed and rolled. Our neighbor came out and grabbed him. And my husband seen our other neighbor come in, back in, and everything. Like, he barely had his eyes down for a handful of seconds to unwind Christmas tree lights. And I remember I was in the shower, and I remember hearing this commotion and him kind of screaming, "Holly, there's so much blood." And I was like, "Well, so much blood." Like, he must have cut himself or whatever. He doesn't do great with blood. So it's like, oh, he must have cut himself out in the garage working on something. It's nothing like him to not be using a power tool or whatever. So that's why I just assumed.
Right. And I do want to back up here for a second and you to talk about your medical background, because you have a medical background, which is why it would make sense for him to just say, "Holly, there's so much blood," and turn things over to you because you are.
Yeah, I'm an ER nurse and a paramedic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he came in running, screaming, and I heard him say it again, and I was like, I don't understand. So I got out, and he was carrying Peyton and laid her in our entryway. And I remember looking at her. She had agonal respirations, and I remember looking at her eyes, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I told Brandon, I was just yelling at Brandon, "What happened? What happened? There's so much blood." And I was like, "Is someone calling 911? Like, open the door, make sure someone is calling 911. And I started CPR, and I remember telling him, "You need to call the hospital." Again, because I work at the hospital, I have a direct line to BTC. And so I walked him through using my phone app on how to call the BTC nurse. And I remember hearing Jamie's voice and, hello, this is Butterworth. And I said, Jamie, it's Holly. My daughter's been hit and I don't know what to do. And she was like, okay, like, what happened? Walk me through it. I just remember her calm voice. And I was like, Jamie, I don't have anything to do except for start CPR. And I was like, she's 5 years old. She weighs like this much weight. Like, I'm like running through a report with her. And I remember saying, Jamie, though, her eyes. Jamie, her eyes. She's like, Holly, you are going to do great. You focus on what you're doing. You keep doing CPR. I'm going to get the team ready. And you need to make sure that they get her to the hospital. I will have the team ready. And I was like, okay, Jamie. Okay, but she goes, Holly, you are doing great. You focus on what you're doing. I was just so thankful for her calming voice. Because, when you're in the medical field, the problem is sometimes you know too much.
Yeah.
And I was just so worried that she was already gone.
And I think it is really hard when you have other things that you want to be able to do and all you can do is CPR.
Yeah.
I mean, it really brings me back so much to Eric when Andy and obviously he was bleeding a lot too, and he said, I just kept thinking, I just need to get in an IV. I just need a large bore IV. I just need to get fluid in him. And he just kept thinking of all the things he wanted to be able to do. And yet all he could do was CPR.
I remember telling her, like, I don't know where the bleeding's coming from. Like, a lot of it was coming from her mouth. And I was just like, I don't see it on her head. I don't know where the blood's coming from. Because I wanted to just stop the bleeding. Like, that's the big thing, right? Like, stop the bleeding. But then stopping the bleeding wasn't going to do anything. I just needed to just do CPR. I remember making sure 911 was called, and I looked up and I asked Brandon, like, what happened? And he said he hit her. And I remember looking up out our door and seeing his truck and where it was. And she was over on the edge. And I'm just like all of the kids play outside. They play outside. And fire arrived first and the police, and they ushered me out of the house. And that was really hard. I remember just collapsing in the yard and yelling, please just transport her, and crying to God, like, God, please save her, please save her. And then I went into the spiral of she's already gone. And I try to keep reminding myself, like, God's powerful, God can do anything, God can save her. Don't say that she's already gone, because he can work his magic. Finally, they transported her and we got into the hospital. I remember my husband and I were following in the ambulance because they wouldn't let us ride. I remember hitting 131 and just sobbing. Like, they were obviously driving lights and sirens, so I was trying to tell Brandon, like, how to drive, be cautious, like, I was, like, in, like, work brain. And I remember hitting 131 and just my work brain could kind of stop for a minute, like we were on the highway. And I remember crying, like, she's already gone. And Brandon's like, no, we're going to start praying for a miracle. We're not asking for her to be perfect. We're just asking for him to bring her back. If we have a mountain put in front of us, like, God, we will walk it. We will climb it. She's a fighter. Like, we don't need her to be perfect. Just please bring her back. And we will do anything and everything we have to do in this new life, And we got to the hospital and we went in through security, and I remember you have to, like, walk through the metal detector, and he kind of stopped me, and I was like, you're not stopping me. And I go around the corner, and Jamie comes out and meets me from triage, and the officer's kind of, like, quickly following after me, like, ma'am, you have to stop here and get checked in. And I was like, no, I know exactly where I'm going. And I feel him kind of following me closely, and I looked to Jamie, and I was like, don't let him touch me. I know where I'm going. And she's like, you're okay. You just keep walking. And I walk in through the trauma doors, and you can see the amount of people that was there. I mean, I was able to give them enough heads up to get everyone in, especially with it being on a weekend. And there's just so many people there. And I just hit the floor. And I remember there was a few of my coworkers just sitting there crying with me on the floor. was just so overwhelming. You work in that space often, and you're usually the calm during someone's storm. And I kind of regret a little bit because I feel like I couldn't be her calm during her storm. I felt bad because I didn't stand up next to bedside the whole time, but I couldn't stand anymore. It's like my legs just gave out. And I was so thankful that I had the team there so they could be our calm and our storm, and I knew that they were going to do everything they could to bring her back. We just kept hearing 2-minute pulse check, no pulse. 2-minute pulse check, no pulse. And then at one point we got a pulse back, and I kind of like looked up like, oh my goodness, like, are we actually going to get this miracle? And it was probably a minute later, and they were back on the chest doing CPR again, and I just knew. I remember asking the one ER doc that was sitting next to me, can you just bring her back so we can say our goodbyes? I just want to say goodbye. And she said, Holly, that's what we're trying to do right now. Then I finally was able to get up at bedside, and the pediatric physician, she was wonderful. Her name is Emily, and I remember her, again, her soft voice just talking, Holly, everything we've done is this. We've given blood. And Holly, we've been working her for a while now. We're going to draw some labs one more time. We're going to do an ISTAT. I was saying, I know. And I remember holding their hand, and I did one more pulse check, and I had the ultrasound on her heart, and there was no activity.
Yeah.
And she said, Holly, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to call time of death. And I was like, I know. My husband was in the next bay over with the door open, and he was so mad. Started yelling. Why, God, why?
Yeah. It's so hard for me to hear your story, too. Because a lot of our stories are the same.
So much trauma wrapped into it.
Yeah. And that highway, that highway you're talking about going down, that's the highway Andy died on. So that's the highway our ambulance took to the hospital, too. But I do regret not forcefully making them take him. Because they didn't. They just took him to the morgue, and that's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Only Eric tried, and the paramedics tried, and then they just stopped. And that's a regret I have. And I also really regret I never got to touch him. They never let me touch him.
I knew why they weren't transporting her.
Because they didn't want to transport her. They wanted to do the same thing that they did with Andy. Is not right.
Again, because of my background, I actually had worked at that ambulance service for a little bit before I had kids, and I still had their manager's number saved, and I remember calling him, and I was like, they're not transporting her. I was like so mad. I was like, I already have the team ready. Just transport her. And he's like, Holly, I'm calling them right now. And I remember they then started like transporting her, and I was just so mad because I would go to the door and just be like, transport her already, and they wouldn't really talk to me. They just had the officers kind of talking to me, and I didn't know any of the crew that was working, and so I know that they probably didn't know my background. But man, like, it's one thing I've kind of I went to Calvin and talked to some of their nursing students about ensuring that when you're handling people or talking with families that are grieving, like, you got to give them the details. You got to let them come and see the patient. You got to let them, be right there, because there's so much studies that show that helps with the grieving process, and it helps them understand what's going on. And so it was really hard to kind of see that not happen.
Yeah.
But I was so glad that we did transport her, because Our hospital obviously is also a children's hospital, so she went to the adult side to my team at Butterworth, but Helen DeVos is connected to our hospital, and the bereavement child life team was amazing. We have, fingerprints and keychains that they make us, and they won't even let me pay for them, and we've given out almost 300 of her keychains, and I email them and they keep sending me keychains, and they have stuff with like her hair. And so even just that, I'm just thankful that we were able to get her there to have some of those pieces of her left.
Yeah. And they sent that child life team, that same team, to the morgue, which is over across town, actually. He went to a different hospital. That's where the morgue is. But they sent the child life team to get his fingerprints and footprints, too. And I don't know if they did that just because I work there. They did a little bit special. Or if they would have done that for anybody, I don't really know. But it was nice because otherwise I wouldn't have had that, and they wouldn't have had to do that,
Yeah. It was hard leaving. We were only allowed so long with her. Because it was the weekend, one of our mod areas wasn't open, and so we were able to go sit in yellow mod with her. But we were only allowed to sit with her for a few hours because it's a law that all kids under the age of 18 have to be an ME case. And so at a certain point, they have to go to the morgue. And I remember looking back and I just feel like I didn't cherish that time enough. I don't know. It was just like there was just so much shock of what happened. And I remember I wanted her hair to be washed because there was so much blood in it. You couldn't tell her pretty blonde hair. So a few of my nurses washed her hair for me and are trying to get out the tangles and put a pretty braid in like Elsa. I just wish I was able to cherish that time more, sitting and holding her.
It's just so hard, though. I mean, you just can't. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? You were supposed to be doing that Thanksgiving that day. That's not what you were supposed to be doing, right? So I think it's hard to cherish that when you're just in such shock.
Yeah. Yeah. We did a private viewing for just my husband and I because we didn't want an open casket at her funeral. And I remember I told my husband, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. I don't really want to see her. And I remember my husband very much wanted to. And we've been trying to, you both walk this separate grief path. And you're still one, though. So it's like, okay, I will go. And I just told them, like, I am fine. I want to be there with you, but like, I just might sit off to the corner. I don't know, And I remember seeing her, and they tried their best, but it wasn't her. She had so much road rash on the one side of her head and face, I should say, and it just wasn't her. I just want to remember her the way that I remember her.
Yeah.
And so, I wish that I was able to spend more time with her at the hospital. And my husband tried to deny the autopsy. He was so strong. I remember he was holding her, and they said, we're going to have to take her soon. And I was explaining to him, like, the legality portion and why. And he was like, well, I don't want an autopsy. And I was so mad at first. I was like, well, I want justice for our daughter. And he calmly looked at me and he said, Holly, one family has already been ruined. Another family doesn't need to be ruined. And we need to forgive him. And there will be nothing that comes from a legal battle good. Nothing good will come from that. I was just like, yeah, I guess you're right. She's already gone. Nothing's going to bring her back. The trauma that family's going to have to live through, because some of his kids were in the truck as well.
Yeah.
But we can't obviously deny that it's the law. But I was just like, wow, I guess you're right there. Like, brought me back down and regrounded me that You can't live mad. You can't live angry. You can't live to go out and fight against someone, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one, or we're not the one that delivers. We're not the one that what do I want to say? Pays for the sin. At the end of the day, right? God's the one that's going to say yay or nay to heaven.
Yeah.
He's the one that forgives sin. He's the one that says no, yes, no. And so I have to give it to him. I have to let him decide, the verdict. It's not my realm. It's not my choice. It's not my decision to be made.
Wow. I have to say I hung on to the anger a lot more, but my husband and your husband sound very much alike. That is, at the very beginning, I was so angry, but that's very similar to what he said. Is, I just feel so bad for her. She has to live every day knowing she killed him. And he was right. I mean, he was 100% right.
Yeah.
But for me, I just kind of wanted to be mad.
I think we have definitely had a lot of anger, but most of that anger, though, has been pointed towards God.
Yeah.
Most of that anger hasn't been pointed towards him. God, why did you let this happen? Why did our family not get the miracle? 2025 was a terrible year for my family. I lost my dad the day after my birthday in February from liver cancer. My mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer a month later. I'm an only child. There's just the weight of the world had already been kind of on us. And now this, why? Why? So most of our anger has been towards God. This just doesn't make sense. Why would you take such a special little girl? And we say that, if you wanted us to move mountains, or, to bring people to your kingdom, or, could it have been a different path? Could she have been with us? She had a fire for God. She loved God. We were so thankful. She attended a Christian school here in town, and man, they taught her so much. And everywhere we would go, she would sing her songs. And I remember you saying that Andy had drew a picture without him in it. And I look back and I wonder, does God start telling them or start preparing their heart for what's to come? Because she asked so many questions about heaven.
Did she?
Yeah, her young 5 teacher said that Payton had just such wonderful questions about heaven. And I thought it was maybe because my dad had passed, and she would ask us, Daddy, when do I go to heaven? And, Brandon would say, not until you're 100. And, will everyone be there with me? I want my family with me. And, oh yeah, honey, we'll already be there. And then she would talk about, well, I'll get to meet my great-great-great-great-grandma and my great-great-great-great-grandpa and all the greats, and I'll get to meet Moses and David and all these people. And I'm just yeah, honey, you'll be able to get to do all of that. And I just don't know if her heart was already being prepared.
I sort of think so, don't you? I sort of do.
Yep, and I feel bad because I feel like we lied to her because we said that she wouldn't go until she was 100. And I just hope that she wasn't scared, because that's not what we had promised her.
I doubt she was, really. I mean, it sounded like she was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you've, a lot of people have heard me tell this story on the podcast too, but, my friend who would carpool the boys to choir talked about how so my boys were studying Revelation when that year before, when Andy died, and they were in the car, and somehow the topic of death came up, and her son Charlie talked about being afraid of death. And Andy, he said, Charlie, he just couldn't understand, because he said, I'm just so excited to go to heaven. Heaven's going to be so awesome and amazing. And he was telling him all about how amazing heaven would be. My friend Carrie said she just never heard something like that from a, then 13-year-old boy. But that sounds a lot like what Peyton was talking about to all of you, right? So, in some ways, maybe she was disappointed when you said she didn't get to go till she was 100.
Yeah.
So it may very well have been that she was really excited.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I know she loved my dad. She loved her papa, and I don't think she fully remembered, but I had a miscarriage at about 16 weeks when she was about 2.5 or so, and I remember she was so excited to be a big sister, but she was kind of at that age where, we kind of stopped talking about the pregnancy. She didn't really continue talking about it, and I just think of all those people that were waiting there to meet her.
Yeah.
There's been a few children that have passed since, and some people will say, like, I bet Peyton's their ringleader. Like, I bet Peyton is the ringleader, and, like, come on, we have to go do this. Let me show you this. You have to meet this person, and oh, this is the song. This is how we dance to it. And at school, they would talk about, all the colors that we don't even know yet, and that they are in heaven, and what kind of colors they are, and how beautiful it's going to be. And she loved coloring, and she knew all the colors, and she loved, like, painting and drawing. And so I just, like, picture her, like, look at this new color. This is this color. This is this. And, like, let's color with this. And she was just always a ball of energy and a ball of sunshine.
Yeah. And I'm sure she still is. I'm sure she is.
Yeah. I just, some people have said, which sometimes this kind of hurts and sometimes it doesn't, that, God must have needed her more. Sometimes that makes me mad because it's like, no, I needed her more.
Yeah, I know.
And I feel like I was a good parent. Like, I was raising her right. And, like, we would raise her in the faith. But then there's at times where it's like, and the special things that he's going to make from her life and her legacy.
Yeah.
Those are all really good. Those are all really good things.
Yeah. We'll talk about your grief journey a little bit and what these 6 months have been like, because it's not been very long.
No. Well, like I had said at the beginning, I was about 20 weeks pregnant when Peyton passed, so we had another little boy, Theo. We had him in April 7th, which was actually, it's my parents' anniversary.
Oh, that's a gift.
Is my dad's number. Yeah, my dad raced, and so he always raced with number 7 because he would joke around that I can't forget our anniversary, and I can't forget if it's my race car number. And so when Peyton started playing t-ball, being the coach, I would kind of lay out all the jerseys and stuff, and Peyton had said something about, well, I want to be Papa's number. And so Peyton always wore 7 for t-ball, so she could be Papa's number. So it just kind of felt right that Theo was born on the 7th.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of hard too, just baby blues and postpartum, hormones on top of grief. And it's been a lot. There's definitely days where, you're like, okay, you're fed, your diaper's changed, I don't know what you want. And, like, I just sit him down and he's crying and I'm crying. Because I'm like, I must be a terrible parent. I don't know what's wrong with you. The baby blues just kind of intertwine with all of your grief, and it's kind of hard to kind of separate them and be like, no, this is just normal baby blues, or like, no, this is like grief too. Thankfully, my husband works full-time remote, which has been a big help. So, if it's just like, Brandon, I need a minute, can you please come help? He's there to kind of come help and take that burden, which has been really helpful. I've also, like, since the 6 months, I have actually put in my resignation at work, which is really a hard decision. It's hard because it's like, I lost my daughter and I lost my career.
Yeah.
A career that I was so passionate for, and I loved everything about emergency medicine. I've done it since I've been 18 years old. I was a EMT, I was an ER tech, into an ER nurse, and then the past, like, 3.5, 4 years, I did ER education. So I did education for all of the West ERs, so about 10 ERs I covered. And I can't go back. My office is at that hospital that she went to. Anytime I've been back to the hospital, it's so triggering. Being in ramp 6 is hard, because that's the ramp we walked out of without her. And so now I'm just trying to be patient. and wait for what is next, which is not my best virtue. I am not a patient and wait person. So I'm just trying to wait to see like what door opens, where I'm supposed to go next. Do I want to stay in nursing? Do I not want to stay in nursing? I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's been really hard to kind of process through. And we also started a foundation for Payton, Payton's Pink Rainbow Project. The Friday before she passed, she painted a rainbow, and it has an added pink line on it, which all of her rainbows always had an added pink line on it because she didn't think that rainbows should not have pink on them. She was just like, why is there no pink on this? It just needs pink. So every rainbow she painted, and she knew the colors, she knew them in order, and she would do them all in order, and then she would add a pink line at the bottom because rainbows just needed pink in them. And so she had painted a picture the Friday before she passed, and that was still drying on the easel Monday when the class went in. And I remember our pastor, and there were some other pastors that went there that day to help with the kids, and it was supposed to be Harvest Hustle Day, which is the Thanksgiving celebration. And yeah, they found that picture, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And so now that's our like logo for her project, and we do random acts of kindness. So we have little cards that I've sent out almost probably close to 1,800 cards to people.
Wow.
To just do random acts of kindness. Yeah. Because that was also her. Like she just, a few weeks before she passed, our small group, we went to the store and bought food for the food pantry. And every time we would go to the store after, she'd be like, Mommy, there was people that were in need and we went grocery shopping for them and we had so much fun. And one of the ladies like made it into a little scavenger hunt. So she was like, I had to find cans with hearts on them and I had to find noodle boxes with blue. And, she would give away her toys. She would come inside and you'd be like, Peyton, honey, what are you doing? She'd be like, oh, I need to get a toy for, one of our neighbors. I want to give it to him. And you're like, oh, okay. Well, we can't give away all of our toys, but sure, like you can find something to give to her. So yeah, we did the random acts of kindness cards, and we've tried to do things on like big days, like, Mother's Day. We did Big B coffee for someone in line because she would always steal my sweet foam off of my coffee. And so we try to do things that remind us of her. And then we also have decided to help other families that are in their grief process after a loss. So we've been able to help a few families by paying for funerals costs. And one family, their funeral costs had already been covered. And so instead, they had some older children, like toddler to elementary age. So instead, we sent them to Great Wolf Lodge for a weekend.
Wow.
So yeah, it's kind of nice because it keeps our brain functioning.
Yeah.
My husband and I say at times it's like we can't even put two brain cells together to like form a sentence.
Yeah.
And this has kind of been able to give us a little bit of an outlet of purpose. There's definitely times where I don't touch it for a week or two. We're planning a golf outing for in August. And thankfully we gave ourselves enough runway that I don't have to feel the pressure of planning this, because there's just times where I can't touch it. I don't want to touch it. I get frustrated that I shouldn't have to be doing this.
Well, which is true, right? You shouldn't have to be doing this. This should not be what you're worried about.
Yeah.
My
husband even said we, just right now, it's just been kind of like word of mouth on families to help. And my husband got frustrated. He's like, we shouldn't have to put a reminder in our calendar to call a funeral home to see if another child's funeral has already been paid for. And then we come to realize that it happens more often than people know. And he's like, we're not even going to be able to help everyone. He goes, it happens this often that we can't even help everyone.
Yeah.
Which is really hard, but we're going to do our best at trying to help as many people as we can.
Well, that's beautiful. It's beautiful that you can try.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're just still so incredibly fresh, right? I mean, this is crazy to me.
6 months, I'm sorry, on the 23rd.
I don't know. I feel like for me, I don't think the numbness really started to wear off until about 6 months. I feel like,
I feel like the numbness is maybe some of the drive behind it. Because
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't want to feel all the feels.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in the grief at times. And so, but I don't know what else to sit in because I'm going back to work. I'm at, home now with a maternity leave. Technically, like, I don't know what else to sit in. I've tried to read. I read a few books. I can't even get through the books because I can't focus. And this is the only thing that I've like halfway been able to focus on that is not grief.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm kind of in a stretch right now where I haven't touched her Instagram page. I haven't sent an email. I haven't really wanted to do anything. And I just try to be really patient with that and let myself, work through that. But yeah, there's just times where it's like, I don't want to sit in my grief. And so I'm able to sit in that and find some purpose and it's still honor her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you felt everything at once, you'd explode.
Yep. You just can't. You just can't. And I do think about how you're trying to find a little bit of purpose in all of it and making sure Peyton's all wrapped up in it. And that reminds me so much of my friend Stephanie. And like, yep, that's what you have to do is work to try to find your purpose and then hope that Peyton's can be wrapped up in it. But the big thing is being patient with yourself and knowing that you may need to take big swaths of time off. Right. And I certainly have learned that. I mean, I just did that not a few months ago when I just kind of took the month of February off because it just was getting to be too much. So to be able to listen to yourself and forgive yourself for doing that, because that's what I was feeling pressure like, well, now I can't take time off. I can't stop. I can't do this because people are counting on it. And like, no, you need to put yourself first sometimes and think about what you need at the moment. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a big thing, I think, with you is that not to push yourself that like, oh, we started all of this. We need to keep going at the same, or it needs to look the same forever.
Yeah. I remember I was like, okay, well, if we have a foundation, like I started an Instagram page, I was like, that's easy. I was like, well, if we're going to have a foundation, like we kind of need a website and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to do any of that. And one of the ladies from our small group, she came over and she's like, well, how about we just buy some domain names, to just kind of start the process. She's in marketing, so she's like a guru at all that stuff. And I was like, sure, buy a domain name. Okay.
Yeah.
And she came over and she was like, so I also just made the website. Can I show it to you? And I just remember like this just wow, I was blown away. Like it was beautiful. And I was like, I was never going to be able to do that. So it's kind of a reminder too that like it doesn't all have to fall on me.
Yes.
Like I can rely on our community. For a foundation, you have a board. And technically it only has to be, there's different foundations. So it could just be my husband and I. And Brandon kind of at first was like, whoa, it's only going to be us. And I was like, we are not going to be able to do this all. And there's going to be times where we're going to have to take breaks. There's going to be seasons where like, again, we can't put two brain cells together. And like, I would have never been able to make that website. And so I was like, we need to rely on our community. And also our community loved Payton and they don't know how to help us. No one knows how to help us.
Right.
And that's one way that they feel like they can be connected with us and feel like they can stay connected with Payton. And so I was like, no, we need help.
Yeah. Well, good. And I'm glad you're getting some help because that is really, really key and important.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me that our foundation has not met recently. It's not funny. Eric's like, we've got to have a board meeting. Like, yep, you're right. We need to have a board meeting. And yet it's sometimes it doesn't happen. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. So you're doing the golf outing. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's a golf course here in town. Actually, one of the charge nurses at Butterworth that was there that day, her mom runs all the events and her uncle owns the golf course, which was so nice to find someone that's connected.
Yeah.
And they've been amazing. They've been helping us along the way. I'm not a big golfer, so I'm like, I don't really know how to do this, but I know it's a great source of fundraising and a lot of our friends and family golf. And, it'd be a great day to be outside because that's all Payton wanted to do was be outside. She loved everything about outside. And So yeah, we're working on that. We actually filled our first spots, and so we opened it up to the next. We can have up to 14 more, and I think we've already had 5 more into that group. So I just can't believe that we're gonna probably fill this. I mean, in 6 weeks we had 30 some teams filled. All of our top sponsorships were filled in just 6 weeks of it being posted, which was amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing that happened.
hmm
Well, any other bits of advice that you may have for people or thoughts that you wanted to share?
I think just being really mindful of like making sure that you're seeking help. Um, Especially with my background, like talking about feelings and like therapy and like that type of stuff, you're kind of like,
Yeah.
we don't do that. But in this experience, I mean, just seeking out community and therapy and grief group have been so helpful.
Yeah.
You know, again, there's days where I don't want to go to therapy and I flat out will tell my therapist, I don't really want to be here today. I don't have anything to say. But by the end of it, you know, we somehow come to some sort of conclusion, have talked about stuff. And my husband says, like, it's just a drop in the bucket, but any drop in the bucket right now is just so meaningful and impactful because we are going to just keep riding these waves, you know, and just tools in our toolbox to be able to ride those waves has been really helpful. Just try not to isolate yourself and, you know, find that community because God doesn't want us to be isolated, right? God made community for a reason. And there's days where our faith is very low, but by golly, our community has faith for us and, you know, they can carry that faith for us and for a little while. Keep us within our bumpers is what my husband and I say. And if we didn't have that community or didn't have, you know, therapy or grief groups, like I can only imagine those bumpers would have been blown off by now.
Yeah, I think when you are able to surround yourself with other grieving parents, that can be so incredibly helpful, make you feel much less alone. And, you know, we're not scared by you saying, I'm really mad at God today. That isn't scary, which it can be scary for other people. Right?
Yes.
It can get them scared.
Yeah. I've been very thankful. Our church has been wonderful. Actually, they're doing powerful prayers right now. And 2 weeks ago was all on lament. And it was all very much on like, you are allowed to bring all of your feelings and lay them down on God's feet. He doesn't want a, you know, fake relationship with you. He wants your raw emotion. And you can read throughout the Bible, right? There's so many stories. Even Jesus was like, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me go to the cross. I don't want this. Can we like do this a different way? You know, there was bargaining, there was anger, there was all sorts of stuff in the Bible. And so it's like if it was in the Bible, we're allowed to feel that. And I think that's been something that's been really hard for Brandon and I to kind of realize is that we're not bad Christians because of our feelings. You know, also some of those feelings is Satan sitting on your shoulder, like tempting you to feel this way and think this way. It's not, you know, always your doing. Because we got baptized about a month ago now. And I remember telling our pastor, like, I don't feel like we're worthy of being baptized. And he was like, what do you mean you're not worthy of being baptized? I'm like, do you want to know what goes on in my head sometimes? Like, I am mad at God. I have said I hate you before. Like, I say kind of mean things to him. And he's like, well, Holly, you're allowed to say that. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad Christian. And it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to get baptized. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, yes, you are allowed to be baptized. You've put your trust and faith in God and you're showing that. And he's like, also your guys' testimony, it's going to shake people and it's going to bring him closer to God. The week before baptism was so bad. Like it was rough. It's spiritual warfare. And they're like, if Satan didn't want anyone to hear your testimony, it was going to be your guys' testimony. Like, so don't think that you're not allowed to be baptized or don't think that you're not allowed to go to heaven because you have these thoughts. It's just your raw and real emotions. And we see it all through the Bible. They all had them too. And they put it in the Bible.
I love that. I really love that your church focused on lament because I truly don't think I ever focused on lament until the first time we did the lament series at Starlight. And
And it was so eye-opening to me. I remember it very specifically. I remember commenting and said, I didn't know this had a name. Said, I just called it the bad cry. I just felt like it was just when things were so low and so awful that I just felt like just hollow, like nothing was left. And I just the emotion would just pour out. And I didn't know that was lament. And I didn't know that that was biblical and that that was okay. I mean, it was such a relief to me. So when you first said that your church was doing something on that, I thought, what a blessing. Because for me, it just made me feel scared and horrible.
Yeah.
Until I had a name for it.
Yeah, I felt like we weren't going to heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly, that's how I thought. I felt like I was not going to go to heaven and not going to see Payton again because of my lament, because I had these thoughts. And this weekend we did the Second Chronicles, and it's, they say, I don't know what to do, God, but my eyes are on you. And I just try to remind myself there's days like I can't pray. There's days that I can't even talk to God. And I just say, God, I'm mad at you, but I'm going to remain faithful. And that's literally the only thing that I say sometimes in the day is that, God, I'm so mad at you right now, but I'm going to remain faithful. And I keep saying that to myself because I'm like, I'm going to believe it once. I'll believe it. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just saying it and I don't fully believe this, but I'm going to keep saying it because I think if you repetition, you finally believe it. And yeah, it's just, it's hard because it's you have so much skin in the game now. I have to go to heaven. I have to go to heaven. I want to see Payton. I want to see my little boy that I had from my miscarriage. There's just so much skin in the game. And you're you almost want to box us up into this pretty box to be here you go, God, I did it all. I get into heaven. And you're I can't do that right now. And I feel like it's all torn. And then I remember that God doesn't need a gift when I get to heaven. That's not how it works. He already paid for my sin. Jesus died on the cross for my sin. And that's what gets me into heaven and believing in him. It's not my pretty box, but man, when you have someone that you love so much up there, you're just I got to do it all right. It has to be perfect because I have to be there.
But yet it can't be perfect, and that's fine. That's so fine. I do remember my pastor telling me again and again and again when I would talk about my anger, he'd just say, well, God can handle that. And just give me permission, to not feel the guilt over the anger. If anyone can handle my anger, it's God. Yeah. And that was such a relief to me because you do feel like a pretty cruddy Christian.
Yeah. And even the doubt.
And really guilty about holding so much anger. But yeah, I don't even know how many times he said those words to me.
Yeah. And the doubt that kind of starts flooding in too, kind of goes with that anger. Once I start getting angry at God, then I just start doubting. Yeah. And it's well, you just live and die and that's all we're here for. And I remember our friend again from small group, she reminded me, she goes, Holly, when you start having all that doubt, who are you actually talking to? Who are you doubting? And I was like, God. So she's like, well, you're still having conversations with him.
That's what I always said when I was angry. I would say, you know what? I'm going to just keep hanging on to this anger because as long as I'm angry at God, that means I believe he exists. And as long as I believe he exists, then I'm okay. I thought, if I let go of all this now and I start to doubt there is even, then I'm not in conversation anymore. And then I am in trouble. So the conversations may be cruddy. But let's just continue to have some cruddy conversation. Then I know I'm still okay. Right?
Yep. Yeah, no, when she said that, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I guess I wouldn't really have doubt if I didn't really think that he was real. Right. I wouldn't even think of anything different.
Then you wouldn't be in conversation anymore.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, community has been great because you're oh, thank you for regrounding me.
Yes.
Bringing me back to that realization.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and sharing Payton. It's just been an honor and a privilege to be able to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me share about her because she's such a special little girl. And you're man, I want her legacy to live on, and this is the way that we're able to do that. So, and also thank you for letting other parents let their legacy live on of their kids by coming on the podcast.
100%. Yes.
Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful and would like to support the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating and comment. To help financially, you can type Andy's Mom, one word, to the number 53555. This provides a link to GiveButter, which allows donations through PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, or credit cards. GiveButter will provide a receipt of your tax-deductible donation, or you can visit the donation page at andysmom.com/donate. Always Andy's Mom is a registered 501c3 and can receive donations through Thrivent Financial and Benevity. Marcy loves hearing from listeners. Please feel free to reach out to her via email at marcy@andysmom.com or on the Instagram or Facebook Always Andy's Mom accounts. Sign up for the email list to get weekly episode links as well as pictures of Marcy's guests and their children. Together, let's work to inspire hope, one day at a time.